The entire restaurant went silent as Rachel Morrison flicked $47.83 straight into the trash bin, an act of public humiliation that would soon unravel her entire world. "Keep the change, boy," she sneered. "Buy yourself some better clothes." Bills disappeared between coffee grounds and food waste. She wiped her fingers on a napkin as if touching the money disgusted her. Marcus Thompson's jaw clenched. "Did you just... what? Throw away pocket change?" Rachel's voice rose deliberately. "That ratty outfit screams, you need every penny. Maybe try the soup kitchen down the street." A businessman gasped. A college student's camera was already rolling. Kitchen staff emerged to stare. Rachel grabbed disinfectant spray and doused the counter where Marcus had placed his money. "We maintain standards here." The 3 4-year-old stood frozen as his cash sat buried in garbage. His expensive leather portfolio suddenly felt meaningless. Have you ever watched someone strip away your dignity in public, while having no idea you held the power to destroy their entire world? Rachel's eyes swept Marcus from head to toe, like a predator sizing up prey. "Sir, are you absolutely certain you can afford our prices? This isn't McDonald's." She spoke slowly, enunciating each word as if addressing a confused child. Her body language screamed superiority. Arms crossed, weight shifted back, chin tilted up in barely concealed disgust. The digital health inspection countdown displayed 8 minutes remaining in red letters above the kitchen pass. "I'd like to speak with your manager," Marcus said calmly. "Honey, you're looking at her." Rachel's laugh was sharp, brittle. "And I'm telling you, this establishment caters to a different clientele, people with actual standards." Behind Marcus, a white businessman in an identical button-down approached the counter. Rachel's transformation was instant and surgical. Her shoulders dropped, her smile brightened like theater lights, and her voice turned to honey. "Good afternoon. What can I get started for you today, sir?" "Large cappuccino, no foam," the man said curtly, barely looking up from his phone. "Absolutely. Coming right up." She moved with practiced efficiency, pulling espresso shots with careful attention. "Beautiful weather today, isn't it? Perfect for outdoor dining." The contrast was devastating in its precision. Same counter, same minute, completely different human being. Marcus watched this performance with a growing, cold understanding. College student Chloe Jensen fumbled with her phone in the corner booth. Her thumb found Facebook Live. "Y'all seeing this racism happening right now at Pinnacle Bistro? This manager just threw this black man's money in the trash, and now she's treating this white guy like royalty." "Excuse me, miss." Rachel's voice cut across the restaurant like a blade. "We don't allow filming here. It's company policy." "It's a public establishment," Chloe replied, adjusting her angle to capture more of the counter. "Not for much longer. If you keep that up, I can have you removed for harassment." The threat hung in the air like smoke. Marcus remained perfectly still, watching Rachel serve the businessman his cappuccino in an elegant ceramic cup, while his own coffee sat cooling in a cheap paper-to-go cup, despite his explicit request to dine in. The businessman glanced between Marcus and Rachel, clearly uncomfortable with the obvious differential treatment. He collected his drink quickly, avoiding eye contact, and retreated to a corner table. Marcus adjusted his leather portfolio against his ribs. The corner of a first-class boarding pass Delta Sky Club VIP access peeked from the zippered pocket. His iPhone 15 Pro Max buzzed insistently against his chest. Notifications cascaded down the lock screen in rapid succession. Board meeting moved to 3 p.m. Legal documents ready for signature. Acquisition approved. Congratulations. He silenced the phone with a practiced gesture, but not before the Platinum American Express Centurion card in his phone case caught the overhead light. The distinctive black card gleamed for just a moment. The businessman at the corner table noticed it, and did a visible double-take at Marcus's impossibly calm demeanor. "Interesting morning," Marcus murmured quietly, more to himself than anyone else. His watch, an understated Patek Philippe Calatrava worth more than most cars, displayed 11:53 a.m. Rachel continued her performance, wiping already spotless surfaces while shooting calculating glances his way. The kitchen staff whispered among themselves in rapid Spanish, stealing looks at the man who'd been publicly humiliated yet seemed strangely unbothered. A server emerged from the kitchen. Aina, according to her name tag, carrying a tray of food. She paused, taking in the scene. Her eyes met Marcus's for a split second. He saw recognition there, perhaps empathy. She'd witnessed this before. "Sir?" Rachel's voice dripped with false concern like poisoned honey. "You've been standing there quite a while. Are you having some kind of episode? Should I call someone for you? Marcus's response was measured, each word carefully chosen, just observing. Sometimes people reveal exactly who they are when they think there are no consequences. The words landed with a quiet weight that seemed to reverberate through the restaurant. Rachel's confident mask flickered for just a moment. Something in his tone, his preternatural stillness, didn't match the narrative she'd constructed in her head. Well, observe from somewhere else. You're making our other customers uncomfortable with your loitering. Marcus glanced slowly around the restaurant. The businessman at his table pretended to read emails while obviously listening. Chloe continued filming despite Rachel's warnings, her viewer count climbing. An elderly couple near the window whispered behind their menus, the woman shaking her head in disapproval. A mother with 2 young children kept looking between Marcus and Rachel with obvious discomfort. Not at Marcus, but at Rachel's behavior. I don't think I'm the one making people uncomfortable, Marcus replied with quiet certainty. His portfolio shifted slightly as he adjusted his stance. The official letterhead became visible through the leather. Pinnacle Restaurant Group in corporate blue and gold. Rachel was too focused on maintaining her authority performance to notice the irony inches from her face. The health inspector's countdown now read 5 minutes in increasingly urgent red digits. Look, I don't know what your game is. No game. Marcus's voice carried a strange certainty that seemed to unnerve her further, just waiting to see how this plays out. Rachel's carefully maintained patience evaporated completely. She grabbed the counter phone with theatrical flair, making sure her performance was visible to everyone in the restaurant. Security to the front counter, immediately! We have an aggressive customer situation requiring immediate intervention. Aggressive? Marcus raised an eyebrow, his voice remaining level. I've been standing here quietly for 5 minutes making a simple request. Quietly intimidating our staff and customers. Rachel's voice projected across the restaurant like a courthouse lawyer. Sir, I'm going to need you to leave immediately before this escalates further, and I'm forced to involve law enforcement. Chloe's live stream viewer count climbed steadily. 200, 300, 500 viewers. Comments flooded in faster than she could read them. This is insane. Get his name. Someone call corporate. This is straight up racism. The hashtag number Pinnacle Bistro Racism began appearing in real time across multiple social platforms. I'd like to file a formal complaint with corporate, Marcus said with professional calm. Could you provide me with headquarters contact information? Our system is down. The lie came effortlessly, practiced. It has been all morning. Computer problems. How convenient. The dry sarcasm in those 2 words seemed to unnerve her more than any shouting could have. Rachel's confident facade developed visible hairline cracks. She'd expected anger, shouting, threats, anything that would justify her next escalation. Marcus's unnatural calm was deeply unsettling. Security guard Mike Sullivan emerged from the back office, a burly man in his 50s whose uniform strained against his considerable gut. His eyes immediately fixed on Marcus as the obvious source of the problem. What's the situation here? This individual has been harassing staff and refusing to leave when repeatedly asked, Rachel explained smoothly, her story already perfected. He's been standing there making everyone uncomfortable for over 15 minutes. Mike nodded with practiced professional authority. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the premises immediately. For standing quietly and attempting to file a complaint. For trespassing after being asked to leave private property. The legal terminology felt rehearsed, polished. This wasn't Mike's first rodeo with problem customers. Marcus glanced at the health inspection timer. 2 minutes flashed urgently. Before I go, Marcus said slowly, his voice carrying an odd finality. There's something everyone should probably know. Rachel's eyes narrowed dangerously. We're not interested in threats or dramatics. Not a threat. Just context that might be relevant. The restaurant held its collective breath. Chloe's phone captured everything. The businessman stopped pretending to check email. Even the kitchen staff had gone quiet, sensing something significant was about to happen. Marcus reached deliberately for his leather portfolio. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Mike warned, his hand moving instinctively toward his radio. Keep your hands visible. Just getting my business card, Marcus said with perfect calm. His fingers found the leather zipper. The sound seemed unnaturally loud in the sudden silence. The zipper's metallic whisper cut through the silence like a knife. Marcus's hand moved with deliberate slowness, each motion calculated to maximize suspense. Rachel's eyes locked onto the portfolio as if it might explode. Step away from whatever you're reaching for, Mike commanded, his radio crackling to life. Security situation at front counter. Request immediate backup. Marcus paused, his fingers still on the zipper pull. I'm simply retrieving identification, as requested. The health inspection timer flashed 90 seconds in blood-red digits. Through the kitchen pass, Inspector Davis appeared, a stern woman in her 50 seconds clutching a clipboard, clearly annoyed by the commotion disrupting her carefully planned schedule. What's the delay here? She called out sharply. I have 3 more locations today, and I'm already running behind. Rachel's head snapped toward the kitchen, panic flashing across her features like lightning. The inspection she'd been dreading was happening during her worst possible moment. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the restaurant's aggressive air conditioning. No delay, Inspector, she called back, her voice strained and artificial. Just handling a minor customer service issue. Handle it faster. I start docking points for operational disruptions. This chaos is affecting your staff's focus. The threat landed like a physical blow. Pinnacle Bistro's profit margins depended entirely on maintaining their pristine health grade. Rachel's job, her career, her entire future depended on that inspection going smoothly. Her carefully constructed authority was crumbling from multiple directions simultaneously. Marcus watched this exchange with growing interest, his expression unreadable. Seems like poor timing. Shut up, Rachel hissed, then immediately caught herself. The professional mask was slipping badly. Sir, please just leave quietly and we can forget this whole misunderstanding. What misunderstanding, exactly? Marcus's voice carried a deadly calm. You threw my money in the trash, called it worthless, treated me like garbage in front of everyone here. His eyes swept the restaurant deliberately. These people witnessed everything. They're filming everything. Chloe's live stream had exploded to 1,200 viewers and was climbing rapidly. Comments poured in. This is going viral. Someone identify this restaurant. Call the local news. This is insane racism. The hashtag number Pinnacle Bistro Racism was spreading across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram simultaneously. The businessman at the corner table had abandoned all pretense of working on his laptop. His iPhone was out, recording everything from multiple angles. Even the elderly couple had stopped eating, watching the drama unfold with wide, shocked eyes. 3 more customers entered, a young professional couple and an older man in an expensive charcoal suit that screamed executive authority. They immediately sensed the thick tension, their conversation dying as they took in the scene. Folks, please take any available table, Rachel called out, her voice artificially bright. We'll be with you momentarily. The new customers exchanged concerned glances but remained near the entrance, unsure whether to stay or flee. The man in the expensive suit looked familiar. His face carried the unmistakable authority of someone used to being recognized. Mike stepped closer, attempting to regain control. Sir, I'm going to count to 3. 1. Officer Chen is en route, came the crackling voice through his radio. ETA 4 minutes, requesting situation details. Marcus's eyebrow raised with what might have been amusement. You called the police for someone requesting to file a complaint. You're trespassing on private property, Mike replied, though his conviction was visibly wavering. The situation felt increasingly wrong. On what legal grounds? I made a legitimate purchase, received discriminatory service, and requested to speak with management about filing a formal complaint. Which specific part constitutes criminal trespassing? The legal precision of Marcus's language seemed to genuinely unnerve Mike. This wasn't the typical problem customer. This man spoke like a lawyer. Inspector Davis emerged from the kitchen, her clipboard now thick with violation notices. Her expression was thunderous. Miss Morrison, I need you to address these critical sanitation issues immediately. The hand-washing station lacks proper soap dispensers. 3 prep surfaces show cross-contamination risk. Your staff appears insufficiently trained, and your food storage temperatures are dangerously inconsistent. Rachel's face went completely white. Each violation could cost thousands in fines, not to mention the devastating downgrade in their health rating. Inspector, I can explain. Explanations don't fix health code violations. I need immediate corrective action. The timer now read 45 seconds. Rachel was drowning, caught between the health inspector, the spiraling security situation, and the viral live stream broadcasting her professional humiliation. Marcus observed this escalating chaos with the patience of someone watching a perfectly orchestrated plan unfold. His portfolio remained partially unzipped, its contents still hidden. Perhaps, he said quietly, his voice carrying across the silent restaurant. We should wait for the police. Let them sort out who actually belongs here and who doesn't. The words carried an undertone that made Rachel's blood run cold. There was something in his absolute, unshakable confidence that didn't fit. The man in the expensive suit near the door stepped forward purposefully. "Excuse me, but isn't this Pinnacle Bistro?" His voice carried unmistakable authority. "Yes, sir," Rachel replied, desperately grateful for a normal customer. "How can we help you today?" "I'm David Reed, Regional Director for the Metro Restaurant Association. I was supposed to meet someone here about a potential multi-million-dollar partnership opportunity." His sharp eyes swept the chaotic scene, the security guard, the filming college student, the police sirens growing louder, the man with the mysterious portfolio. "Is this your normal operating procedure?" Rachel's world tilted further. The Metro Restaurant Association controlled licensing and partnerships for dozens of major chains. "Mr. Reed, please. This is just a minor situation we're handling." "It doesn't look minor from where I'm standing." Reed's voice was ice cold. "It looks like blatant discriminatory treatment being live-streamed to hundreds of viewers." Chloe looked up from her phone, eyes wide. 1,800 viewers now, and climbing fast. The number hit Rachel like a physical blow. Her career, her reputation, the restaurant's image all being systematically destroyed. Health inspection complete. The digital timer flashed, then went ominously dark. Inspector Davis returned from the kitchen, her expression grimmer than before. "Miss Morrison, Pinnacle Bistro receives a conditional pass pending immediate remediation of 14 separate health code violations. You have exactly 72 hours to address these critical issues or face mandatory closure proceedings." 14 violations. Rachel's knees nearly buckled. The number was catastrophic, enough to trigger a corporate investigation and potential franchise termination. 14? Her voice was barely a whisper. Staff hygiene, equipment maintenance, food storage temperatures, sanitation procedures, pest control measures. Shall I continue reading the complete list? Marcus shifted his weight slightly. The subtle movement drew every eye. His portfolio crinkled softly. "Interesting timing," he murmured again. Police sirens wailed, stopping right outside. Officer Chen was arriving to sort out a trespassing situation that was looking far less clear-cut. Rachel realized with growing horror that she'd made a cascading series of catastrophic mistakes. The health inspection failure, the viral live stream, the association director witnessing everything, and somehow, at the center of it all, this quiet man seemed to be orchestrating her complete destruction with supernatural calm. The kitchen staff had emerged. Anna, the server, stood with her arms crossed, watching Rachel's downfall with undisguised satisfaction. She'd seen this behavior before. "Maybe," Marcus said softly, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We should all wait to see what's in here before anyone makes decisions they can't unmake." His fingers resumed their slow, deliberate movement on the zipper. The sound was unnaturally loud. The zipper opened with deliberate precision. He withdrew a single business card, first pristine white cardstock with embossed gold lettering. He placed it on the marble counter between himself and Rachel with the ceremony of laying down a royal flush. Rachel's eyes dropped to read it. Her face went from white to gray to green. Marcus Thompson, CEO, Thompson Hospitality Solutions. Below it, smaller text, specializing in restaurant acquisitions and operational restructuring. Mike squinted at the card over Rachel's shoulder, his authority visibly crumbling. His hand moved slowly away from his radio. "What's Thompson Hospitality Solutions?" "We acquire underperforming restaurant properties." Marcus's voice remained perfectly calm. "Turn them around. Sometimes that involves significant staffing changes." The police sirens had stopped. Car doors slammed. Heavy footsteps approached. Officer Chen entered, a tall woman in her 40s with sharp eyes that immediately assessed the chaotic scene. "Someone called about a trespassing situation?" Marcus turned to face her calmly, extending his hand. "Officer Chen, I'm Marcus Thompson. I own this restaurant as of this morning." He handed her his business card and the acquisition documents. "This manager threw my money in the trash and had me threatened with arrest for attempting to file a complaint about discriminatory service." Chen examined the documents carefully, her trained eyes checking watermarks and signatures. Her expression shifted dramatically. "These look completely legitimate." "Miss Morrison?" Rachel choked, her world crashing down. "Miss Morrison, you called to report trespassing by the property owner." Rachel's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. No words came out. David Reed stepped forward decisively, his corporate instincts engaged. "Officer, I'm David Reed with the Metro Restaurant Association. I witnessed this entire incident. This manager exhibited clear discriminatory behavior, threw the owner's money in the garbage, and created an actively hostile environment." Marcus reached into his portfolio one final time. He withdrew a manila folder labeled Operational Assessment, Confidential in red letters. "I came here today for a routine inspection before taking operational control tomorrow. What I discovered," he said, "was deeply illuminating." He opened the folder, revealing dozens of photographs, security camera screenshots showing Rachel's behavior with previous customers over months. A documented pattern of discrimination in painful, undeniable detail. "These images are from your own security system, Miss Morrison. Downloaded this morning during the ownership transfer process." His voice carried quiet authority. Incident after incident, always the exact same pattern of behavior. Rachel stared at the photos like they were evidence of war crimes. Her career, her reputation, her future, all evaporating. "There's also this comprehensive file." He produced a thick stack of customer complaints bound with legal ribbons. 47 formal complaints filed with corporate headquarters in the past 18 months alone, all describing identical treatment, all systematically ignored by management. Inspector Davis stepped forward, her professional curiosity piqued. "Mr. Thompson, those 14 health violations I documented, were you aware of these operational deficiencies?" "I suspected systematic problems. That's precisely why I conducted personal reconnaissance before taking operational control." Marcus's eyes found Rachel's and held them. "I wanted to observe the operation at its most authentic level." The devastating weight of his words settled over everyone. This hadn't been random bad luck. This had been a deliberate, calculated test, a professional evaluation that Rachel had failed more spectacularly than anyone could have imagined. Mike looked deeply confused and embarrassed. "Sir, I sincerely apologize. I had no idea. You did exactly what you were trained to do," Marcus replied without malice. "Respond to management's emergency call. Assess the situation based on their information. The systemic failure wasn't yours." Officer Chen was taking detailed notes. "Miss Morrison, filing a false police report is a Class A misdemeanor. Discrimination in a place of public accommodation constitutes a civil rights violation. Do you understand the serious legal implications of what happened here?" Rachel finally found her voice, though it came out as a whisper. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know who he was?" "You weren't supposed to know," Marcus said with devastating simplicity. "That was entirely the point of this exercise. How you treated someone you perceived as powerless revealed your authentic character." The businessman who'd witnessed the differential treatment approached hesitantly. "Mr. Thompson, I saw everything from beginning to end. The way she treated you versus how she immediately served me. It was deeply disturbing." Marcus nodded acknowledgement. "Thank you for staying to witness the resolution." Chloe looked up from her phone, eyes wide. 2,300 viewers now and climbing. This is literally the most insane thing I've ever seen. The elderly couple approached the counter. The woman spoke in a voice shaking with righteous anger. "Young man, that was the most disgraceful behavior we've witnessed in 50 years of dining out. That manager should be utterly ashamed. She threw your hard-earned money away like garbage," the man added. "In our day, that would have been grounds for immediate termination." "In our day too, sir." Marcus smiled genuinely for the first time. "Thank you." Rachel's legs finally gave out. She grabbed the counter for support, her world in ruins. David Reed pulled out his business card with obvious respect. "Mr. Thompson, the Metro Restaurant Association would be deeply honored to discuss partnership opportunities with someone of your demonstrated integrity." "I'd welcome that conversation," Marcus replied warmly. Officer Chen closed her notepad. "Miss Morrison, I strongly suggest you consult with an attorney. Mr. Thompson, do you wish to press formal charges for filing a false report?" Marcus looked at Rachel, truly looked at her. She was young, overwhelmed, but the casual cruelty she displayed wasn't born from stress. It came from somewhere deeper. "Officer, I believe Miss Morrison has learned something vitally important today. Sometimes natural consequences teach more effectively than criminal charges." Rachel looked up with desperate gratitude, then immediately away in crushing shame. "However," Marcus continued, his voice carrying unmistakable steel, "her employment at this establishment is terminated immediately, effective at this moment." The silence that followed was deafening. Rachel stood frozen. Marcus opened his portfolio one final time, withdrawing a thick manila envelope marked confidential board presentation. Before we proceed with operational changes, he announced, I think everyone deserves to understand the full scope of what happened. He spread documents across the counter. The first sheet bore the Thompson Hospitality Solutions letterhead, Pinnacle Bistro Operational Assessment, Discrimination, Audit. Thompson Hospitality Solutions specializes in acquiring struggling properties, Marcus began, his voice carrying boardroom authority. Our due diligence process includes comprehensive operational assessments. Today's visit was the final phase. Officer Chen stepped closer. You mean this was planned? Partially. I needed to observe authentic customer service practices before finalizing staffing decisions. Marcus's eyes swept the room. What I witnessed exceeded my worst projections. He pointed to a financial analysis. Pinnacle Bistro generates $1.8 million annually. However, customer retention rates have declined 23% over 18 months, directly correlating with discrimination complaints. David Reed whistled low. That's catastrophic customer loss. Indeed, the financial impact of discriminatory practices isn't just moral, it's devastating to the bottom line. Marcus turned to the next document. Market share analysis. Pinnacle represents 0.3% of my restaurant portfolio, but generates 67% of all discrimination complaints across 7 properties. Rachel's face was ashen. Employment contracts for all Pinnacle management positions include comprehensive morality clauses, effective immediately upon ownership transfer. He produced a legal document. Section 4.2 specifically addresses discriminatory conduct as grounds for immediate termination without severance. Mike, the security guard, shifted uncomfortably. Sir, does that include security? Your response was based on false information. You followed protocol. Miss Morrison, however, violated federal civil rights statutes and company policy simultaneously. Inspector Davis approached. Mr. Thompson, those 14 health code violations, are they related? Directly correlated. Poor leadership creates systemic failures. Marcus opened another folder. Hidden camera footage from the past 90 days shows consistent protocol violations under Miss Morrison's supervision. He produced a tablet, swiping through time-stamped videos, staff ignoring hand-washing, contaminated prep surfaces, falsified temperature logs. Corporate investigation procedures require comprehensive documentation, Marcus explained. Every violation has been cataloged. Rachel found her voice, a desperate whisper. You can't do this. You can't just destroy someone's life over one mistake. Miss Morrison, this wasn't one mistake. Marcus turned to face her. These documents show 47 documented complaints over 18 months. 47 people who experienced exactly what I experienced today. He opened the complaint file. Sarah Williams, filed March 15th. Manager threw my change on the floor. Told me this wasn't McDonald's. Rachel's face crumpled. James Patterson filed June 3rd. Manager told me I should try the soup kitchen down the street. The exact phrases. Marcus Johnson filed August 12th. Manager wiped down counter with disinfectant after I paid, like I was contaminated. Each complaint was a mirror image. Chloe's live stream viewer count had climbed to 3,500. This is justice. The comments flooded in. She's been doing this for over a year. Marcus closed the complaint file and reached for his final document. Miss Morrison, you have 2 options. Option 1. Accept immediate termination, sign a non-disclosure agreement, and receive 2 weeks severance despite contract violations. Rachel looked up hopefully. Option 2. Face a public civil rights lawsuit, federal discrimination charges, and a corporate investigation that will become public record. The hope died. You have 60 seconds to decide. David Reed stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, the Metro Restaurant Association has protocols for this. This level of systematic abuse triggers mandatory industry reporting. I'm aware. Thompson Hospitality maintains zero-tolerance policies. Marcus checked his watch. 45 seconds, Miss Morrison. Officer Chen was taking notes. Sir, if you proceed with criminal charges, the police department will conduct a full investigation. I've already contacted legal counsel. Marcus nodded. This pattern of behavior constitutes criminal harassment under state statutes. Rachel's hands were shaking as she reached for the termination agreement. Where do I sign? One moment. Marcus held up his hand. First, you owe someone an apology. He pointed toward the trash bin where she had thrown his money. Retrieve my money, all of it. Then apologize to everyone who witnessed your behavior. Rachel's humiliation was complete. With dozens of witnesses and thousands watching live, she knelt and dug through coffee grounds and food scraps to retrieve Marcus's $47.83. Her hands were stained with garbage as she placed the crumpled, dirty bills and coins on the counter. I'm sorry, she whispered. Louder, Marcus commanded, so everyone can hear. I'm sorry, Rachel's voice cracked. I was wrong. I treated you terribly, and I'm sorry. Marcus accepted the money and placed it carefully in his wallet. Apology acknowledged, but not accepted. Some actions have consequences that sorry cannot repair. He handed her the agreement. Rachel signed it with trembling hands. Security will escort you out, Marcus announced. Your personal belongings will be mailed to your address on file. Mike stepped forward reluctantly. Ma'am, I need you to come with me. As Rachel was led away, the restaurant staff began applauding. Customers joined in. Even Inspector Davis was nodding. Marcus raised his hand for silence. The real work starts now, he announced. This restaurant will become a model for inclusive service. Every employee will receive sensitivity training. Every complaint will be investigated. Every customer will be treated with dignity. He turned to the kitchen staff. Those of you who witnessed discrimination and said nothing, you have one opportunity to be part of the solution. Mandatory bias training begins tomorrow morning. Anna, the server, stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, we wanted to speak up, but we were afraid of losing our jobs. That culture ends today, Marcus replied firmly. Open communication, respectful treatment, professional excellence. Those are our new standards. David Reed approached. Mr. Thompson, the Metro Restaurant Association would like to feature Pinnacle Bistro as a case study in operational transformation. I welcome that partnership. Officer Chen closed her notepad. Sir, this was handled with remarkable professionalism. The police department commends your restraint and systematic approach. Marcus smiled for the second time. Justice doesn't always require punishment. Sometimes it requires change. As the crowd began to disperse, Chloe approached, her phone still recording. Mr. Thompson, anything you want to say to the 4,000 people watching? Marcus looked directly into the camera. Dignity is non-negotiable. Respect is universal. And sometimes, the person you underestimate has the power to change everything. 3 hours later, Pinnacle Bistro hummed with purposeful energy. Rachel's humiliating exit had been broadcast to over 6,000 viewers, but Marcus had already shifted focus from punishment to transformation. He stood behind the same counter, now addressing the entire staff. Effective immediately, Pinnacle Bistro operates under the Respect Initiative, Marcus announced, holding up a professionally printed handbook. Recognize dignity in every customer, embrace inclusive service, sustain professional excellence, prevent discrimination, enforce accountability, champion transformation. Anna, the server who'd witnessed Rachel's behavior for months, raised her hand tentatively. Mr. Thompson, what happens to those of us who didn't speak up before? You get the opportunity to be part of the solution, Marcus replied without judgment. Silence born from fear of job loss is understandable. Choosing to remain silent going forward is unacceptable. He opened his laptop, revealing a comprehensive training program. Every employee will complete 40 hours of bias awareness training over the next 30 days. Paid training, during work hours. No exceptions. The relief in the room was palpable. Additionally, Marcus continued, we're implementing the Pinnacle Promise app. Every customer interaction gets rated in real time. Complaints escalate directly to my office within 15 minutes. He demonstrated the tablet system. Transparency breeds accountability. Inspector Davis, who had remained to observe, approached. Mr. Thompson, I've reviewed your remediation plan for those 14 health violations. If implemented, Pinnacle Bistro will exceed industry standards within 60 days. We're not aiming to meet standards, Marcus replied. We're setting new ones. He turned to the kitchen staff. Carlos, you're promoted to head chef. Anna, you're now assistant manager. Your job is to ensure every customer receives the same excellent service, regardless of how they look, sound, or dress. The promotions were strategic. People who'd witnessed discrimination were now empowered to prevent it. David Reed had remained, taking notes. Mr. Thompson, the Metro Restaurant Association has never seen operational transformation happen this quickly. Would you be willing to present this model at our annual conference? Absolutely. But first, we need to prove it works. Marcus's phone buzzed. He stepped aside briefly, returning with news. Rachel Morrison has been banned from employment at any Thompson hospitality property nationwide. Additionally, Her termination has been reported to the State Restaurant Workers Registry, as required by discrimination statutes. The finality was sobering. However, Marcus continued, redemption is always possible. If Miss Morrison completes certified sensitivity training and demonstrates genuine change, that ban can be reconsidered in 2 years. Even in victory, he chose education over permanent destruction. Chloe, who had been documenting everything, looked up. Mr. Thompson, the number Pinnacle transformation is trending. People are calling this the most satisfying justice video they've ever seen. Justice isn't about satisfaction, Marcus replied thoughtfully. It's about creating systems that prevent future harm. He pulled out architectural plans. These renovations will be completed within 90 days. Open kitchen design so customers can see food preparation. Community seating that encourages interaction. Digital menu boards with multiple languages. The physical space would reflect the cultural transformation. Most importantly, Marcus announced, we're establishing the Pinnacle Partnership Fund. $500,000 annually to support minority-owned local suppliers, community organizations, and employee education programs. Gasps echoed through the room. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's economically stupid, Marcus explained. Diverse communities have diverse needs. Businesses that serve everyone well profit from everyone well. Officer Chen, who had stayed to complete her report, approached. Mr. Thompson, I've handled hundreds of discrimination cases. Most end in lawsuits and bitterness. This is the first time I've seen transformation instead of just punishment. Punishment without education just creates hidden resentment, Marcus replied. Systemic change requires systematic solutions. As the afternoon wore on, word spread. Local news crews arrived. By 4 p.m., Pinnacle Bistro was busier than it had been in months. The atmosphere had completely changed. Marcus watched from a corner booth as Anna served a homeless veteran with the same attention she'd given a business executive. Carlos emerged from the kitchen to personally check on an elderly black couple's meal. The transformation wasn't just policy, it was becoming practice. Excuse me, Mr. Thompson? Marcus looked up. I'm Jennifer Washington from Channel 7 News. Could we speak about what happened here today? Of course. But let me be clear. This story isn't about punishment or revenge. It's about the power of ownership to create positive change. The interview would frame the narrative correctly. As evening approached, Marcus prepared to leave. He approached the trash bin where his money had been thrown. He dropped a fresh $100 bill inside, then smiled at the symbolism. Sometimes, he said to Anna, who was watching curiously, you have to throw away the old system to build something better. The money would go toward employee bonuses. The gesture was pure Marcus, transforming a sight of humiliation into a symbol of generosity. Walking toward the exit, Marcus paused at the counter where everything had begun. The marble surface had been thoroughly cleaned, but the memory of discrimination would serve as a permanent reminder of why vigilance mattered. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, dignity had been restored, and justice had taken the form of positive transformation. The intellectual victory was complete. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same spot. The transformation was breathtaking. Pinnacle Bistro buzzed with diverse energy. Black professionals shared tables with white college students. Latino families celebrated birthdays alongside Asian business executives. The open kitchen showed Carlos's team preparing meals with pride. Anna approached, her assistant manager badge gleaming. Customer satisfaction is up 89%, sir. Revenue increased 34% this quarter. But most importantly, she smiled. We've had 0 discrimination complaints in 6 months. Marcus nodded, scanning the data. What about staff retention? 100% retention rate. 3 employees have enrolled in college using our education fund. 2 others started their own catering businesses with our small business loan program. The ripple effects extended far beyond one restaurant. David Reed entered, carrying a thick folder marked Industry Excellence Award. Marcus, the Metro Restaurant Association, has selected Pinnacle Bistro as Inclusive Business of the Year. You're not just running a restaurant, you're setting industry standards. How many other restaurants have adopted the Respect Initiative? 47 locations across 3 states. The Pinnacle Promise app has been downloaded by over 200 restaurants. Your model is spreading. Chloe Jensen approached their table, now working as Pinnacle's social media coordinator. Her viral live stream had launched a career. Mr. Thompson, the 6-month follow-up video just hit 500,000 views. People want to know, Whatever happened to Rachel Morrison? Marcus paused. She completed the sensitivity training program I recommended. Found work at a community center helping formerly incarcerated individuals develop job skills. Last month, she sent me a handwritten apology letter. Are you considering removing the employment ban? Next month, actually. Everyone deserves a second chance if they've done the work to earn it. Inspector Davis emerged from the kitchen, her clipboard nearly empty. Annual health inspection complete. Pinnacle Bistro receives the highest rating possible, and I'm recommending you for the State Excellence Award. The contrast with that chaotic day was stark. As the evening crowd gathered, Marcus reflected. One incident had catalyzed industry-wide change. His phone buzzed. A text from his legal team. Settlement reached with 23 previous discrimination victims. Total compensation $1.2 million. All accusers satisfied with restaurant improvements. Justice had taken the form of both accountability and restoration. A young black teenager approached hesitantly. Excuse me, are you the owner? I saw your video online. It gave me the courage to report discrimination at my job. They fired the manager and promoted me to supervisor. Stories like this arrived weekly. As closing time approached, Marcus gathered the staff. 6 months ago, this restaurant was a place where people's dignity was routinely violated. Tonight, it's a place where dignity is celebrated. That transformation happened because you chose to be part of the solution. The staff beamed. But our work isn't finished. Discrimination still exists. Every time you treat a customer with respect, you're proving that inclusive service isn't just morally right, it's economically smart. Anna raised her hand. Mr. Thompson, what's next for Pinnacle? We're opening 5 more locations next year, each built from the ground up with inclusive practices. We're demonstrating that businesses can be forces for positive social change. As the team left, Marcus walked to a framed photo on the wall, a screenshot from Chloe's live stream, showing the moment his identity was revealed. Below it, a simple caption, "Sometimes the person you underestimate has the power to change everything." Looking directly at the security camera that now streamed to his Blacktail Stories social media platforms, Marcus addressed the audience he knew was watching. If you've witnessed discrimination in restaurants, retail stores, or any business, don't stay silent. Document it. Report it. Share your story. Change happens when people refuse to accept unacceptable behavior. He paused, letting the words sink in. Every share of this story creates awareness. Every comment builds solidarity. Every subscription to Blacktail Stories supports more investigations into discrimination and more stories of people who turned humiliation into transformation. His expression grew more serious. Remember, your dignity is non-negotiable. Your voice matters. And sometimes, the person treating you poorly has no idea who you really are, or what power you possess. Until next time, this is Marcus Thompson, reminding you that respect is earned through action, change comes through ownership, and justice looks like systems that protect everyone's dignity. The camera faded to black as Marcus's quiet revolution continued spreading. Valuable lesson. This story teaches us that true character is revealed not by how we treat our equals or superiors, but by how we treat those we perceive as having less power. Justice isn't just about punishment, it's about systematic change to ensure dignity for everyone. What did you think of Marcus's final decision about Rachel? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories of justice and transformation. Finish. In the middle of a busy bank lobby, Marcus Wellington decided to burn $2.3 million in front of its owner. Your kind doesn't deserve real money, boy. This fake garbage gets burned. Marcus Wellington's silver lighter ignites. The $2.3 million business check erupts in flames. He holds it high, letting everyone see the destruction, then drops the burning paper at David Williams's feet. David, 45 and dressed in faded jeans with a gray hoodie, doesn't flinch. The check burns between his white sneakers. Wellington grinds his Italian leather heel into the ashes, twisting slowly while maintaining eye contact. Look at that, Wellington announces to the growing crowd. Problem solved. 3 customers film. A blonde woman live streams, whispering commentary. The security guard approaches, hands on his radio. "Sir, you need to leave," the guard says. Now, David's expression remains stone calm. His hand moves toward his jacket pocket, pauses, then drops. The digital clock reads 2:48 p.m., 12 minutes until his board meeting. Have you ever been judged so completely that someone literally burned your worth in front of you? 2:48 p.m. The humiliation deepens. Everyone, Look at this masterpiece, Wellington announces, pointing at the smoldering ashes on the marble floor. Did you see how I handled that fake check? Burned it right in front of him. Problem solved. David stands motionless as burned fragments stick to his sneakers. The acrid smell of charred paper fills the air. Thin wisps of smoke still rise from the blackened remains scattered across the pristine marble. Marcus, maybe we should, starts Megan Hayes, the assistant manager, eyeing the growing crowd nervously. Quiet, Megan. Wellington's eyes gleam with satisfaction. Sir, what's your real name? And don't give me some fake identity to match that worthless check I just incinerated for everyone to witness. The live-streaming woman angles her phone toward the ashes, then back to David's face. Her viewer count climbs steadily. 47, 156, 312. 478 people watching in real time. Comments flood the screen. Oh my God, he burned it. Savage manager. Number bank check is trending. Wellington kicks at the ash pile with his Italian leather shoe, scattering the remains further. You walk into my bank wearing clothes from Goodwill with a fake check bigger than most people's annual salaries. Thought you could fool us? Watch this again. He grinds his heel into the remaining fragments, pulverizing them into powder. The elderly white customer in her Chanel suit applauds softly from her position near the investment desk. Bravo, Marcus, she calls out, loud enough for everyone to hear. That's exactly how you handle their kind. Burn first, ask questions later. Other customers begin clustering around, drawn by the spectacle and the smell of burned paper. A businessman in a Brooks Brothers suit nods approvingly. Should have done that from the moment he walked in, he mutters. David's Platinum Amex Black Card peeks from his leather wallet as he reaches slowly for his identification. Wellington spots the movement and snatches the wallet before David can react, holding it triumphantly above his head. Well, well, well. Stolen credit cards too? Wellington waves the wallet like a trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a complete criminal package here. Fake checks, stolen cards, probably fake ID coming next. The security guard speaks urgently into his radio. Yeah, we definitely need backup. Fraud suspect with destroyed evidence and possible stolen property. David finally speaks, his voice maintaining an unnaturally calm tone that contrasts sharply with the chaos around him. Mr. Wellington, I'd like my wallet back, please. When the police arrive, you can explain to them where you really got it. Wellington pockets the wallet with theatrical flourish. Along with how you managed to forge that check, I just had to destroy for evidence preservation. A teenager with purple hair films frantically from the ATM line, already uploading to TikTok with the caption, "Bank manager burns fake check, fire beats fraud. Manager is savage. Bank burns check justice." The digital wall clock reads 2:52 p.m. David glances at it and, for the first time, observers notice the slightest crack in his composed facade. Oh, running late for your next scam? Wellington gestures dramatically at the ash pile. Don't worry, you won't be going anywhere soon. See that pile of ashes on my floor? That's what happens to fraud in Marcus Wellington's bank. David's phone buzzes repeatedly in his pocket. Important calls he's ignoring. The sound draws Wellington's attention. Turn that off, Wellington snaps. Your accomplices can wait. The live stream viewer count hits 650. Comments explode across social media platforms. He literally torched it. Boss move of the century. Ashes to ashes, fraud to fraud. The video is being shared across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram simultaneously. Wellington basks in his viral moment, straightening his silk tie and smoothing his hair. This is exactly why we maintain strict security protocols. People like this individual think they can waltz in here with fake paper and fool hard-working, honest Americans. Megan Hayes shifts uncomfortably behind the counter, continually glancing between the ash pile and David's eerily calm expression. The Chanel customer continues nodding approvingly, whispering to her companion about finally seeing some backbone in customer service. A heavyset businessman near the window mutters loudly, "Should have called the cops first, but burning it definitely sends the right message." To his kind. 3 more customers join the growing circle. Phones out, recording everything. The bank's normal Tuesday afternoon business has ground to a complete halt. David's eyes drift momentarily to a first-class boarding pass protruding slightly from his jacket pocket. Chicago to Tokyo, departing tomorrow morning. The detail goes unnoticed by Wellington, who's too busy performing for his audience. "Sir, Please move to the seating area and wait for the authorities, the lead security guard instructs, gesturing toward the leather chairs near the window. Actually, David says quietly, his gaze lingering on the burned remains of his check. I believe there's been a significant misunderstanding here. Wellington throws his head back and laughs loudly, ensuring everyone hears. The only misunderstanding is you thinking that a pathetic fake check would work in my establishment. 2:55 p.m. Wellington turns to address his growing audience of customers and online viewers. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when we stay vigilant and protect our community. Burn the fraud, protect the innocent, and never let criminals think they can outsmart honest bankers. The crowd murmurs strong approval. Multiple phones continue recording both the ash pile and David's remarkably composed reaction. David allows the security guards to guide him toward the seating area, but something subtle shifts in his expression. He looks down at the burned, scattered remains of his check, then directly at Wellington, almost like he's genuinely amused by something only he understands. He checks his expensive Swiss watch, a detail that Wellington and his audience still haven't noticed among all the excitement. Exactly 5 minutes until his board meeting begins. 2:55 p.m. The crowd grows hungry. Megan, get over here immediately, Wellington commands, his voice echoing across the marble lobby with theatrical authority. You need to witness how real fraud prevention works in the field. Assistant manager Megan Hayes approaches reluctantly, her designer heels clicking rhythmically against the pristine floor where David's burned check fragments still scatter like black confetti across the expensive marble. She stares down at the ash pile, then shifts her gaze to David's unnaturally calm face, something nagging at her professional instincts. Take detailed notes for your training file, Wellington continues pompously, pointing dramatically at the charred remains. This is absolutely textbook criminal behavior. Fake check, stolen wallet, probably counterfeit identification documents. Next, I burned the primary evidence before he could destroy it himself or pass it to an accomplice. The livestream audience has exploded exponentially to over 1,200 viewers, with the numbers climbing by the second. Comments stream faster than human eyes can process. This is absolutely wild. Manager is a complete legend. Black dude got totally owned. Someone call the FBI immediately. This is better than Netflix. The blonde woman filming adjusts her angle expertly to capture both David's remarkably composed face and the dramatic ash pile simultaneously. A second security guard arrives at the scene, breathing heavily from his rushed response across the building. What's the exact situation here, Tom? He asks his colleague. Major fraud attempt in progress. The first guard responds authoritatively, nodding toward David. The manager successfully burned the counterfeit check. Suspects also carrying multiple stolen credit cards. Wellington's chest swells visibly with pride and self-satisfaction. That's absolutely correct, officer. See those ashes scattered across my floor? That was a $2.3 million fraudulent check. Can you even begin to believe the sheer audacity? 3 teenagers near the overpriced coffee station abandoned their $5 lattes entirely to film the unfolding spectacle with their phones. One immediately uploads to Instagram stories with multiple fire emojis. Bank manager literally burns scammer's check in real time. Savage manager, number bank burns check, number instant justice, number viral. David sits calmly in the leather chair as instructed, but his posture remains strangely relaxed and confident rather than defeated. His expensive Swiss watch catches the overhead fluorescent light as he checks the time with practiced ease. 2:57 p.m. Exactly 3 minutes remaining. You seem remarkably calm for someone who just got caught red-handed, Wellington observes with predatory satisfaction, circling David slowly like a shark sensing blood in the water. Most criminals panic completely when their elaborate scam falls apart spectacularly. Do they really? David responds quietly, his deep voice maintaining an eerily calm tone as his eyes follow Wellington's theatrical movement. Oh, look everyone, he actually speaks, Wellington announces triumphantly to his growing audience of customers and online viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, the sophisticated criminal has something intelligent to say. Please, by all means, enlighten us all with your creative excuses and fabricated stories. The elderly Chanel customer moves closer to the action, her equally well-dressed companion following obediently behind. I've never witnessed anything quite like this in 40 years of banking, she whispers, loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear clearly, burning the fraudulent evidence right there on the floor. Absolutely brilliant strategy. A balding businessman in an expensive 3-piece suit joins the growing circle of spectators. You should seriously run for mayor, Marcus. This entire city desperately needs more people with your kind of backbone and decisive action. Wellington preens visibly under the mounting attention and praise, adjusting his silk tie again and smoothing his perfectly styled hair. Just performing my civic duty to protect honest, hard-working citizens. Can't allow these criminal elements to think they can waltz into respectable financial establishments. David's phone buzzes insistently in his pocket. He glances discreetly at the illuminated screen. Urgent. Emergency board meeting starting now. Where are you? Turn that device off immediately. Wellington snaps with growing irritation. Your partner in crime can wait indefinitely for your coordination call. Actually, David says calmly, rising slowly from his seated position, I really do need to take this particular call. It's quite important. Both security guards step forward immediately, hands instinctively moving toward their equipment. Sit back down right now, sir. The first guard orders firmly. You're not going anywhere until police officers arrive to process you. The live stream viewer count hits 1,500 and continues climbing rapidly. The woman filming provides enthusiastic live commentary. Oh my God, everyone! He's actually trying to leave. The scammer is attempting to escape before the cops arrive. Wellington throws his head back and laughs harshly, gesturing dramatically at the burned remains scattered across his floor. Look carefully at that pathetic pile of ashes on my pristine marble floor. That pile of carbon was your big meal ticket, wasn't it? Your elaborate payday scheme. Now it's absolutely nothing but carbon particles and public humiliation. Megan Hayes shifts uncomfortably behind the customer service counter, her professional instincts screaming that something doesn't add up correctly. Marcus, maybe we should take a moment to verify certain details before. Verify exactly what? Wellington cuts her off dismissively. The counterfeit check is completely destroyed. The stolen wallet is properly secured. Case definitively closed. A new arrival enters the bank's main entrance. An impeccably dressed woman in an expensive business suit carrying a leather briefcase. She pauses immediately, noticing the unusual crowd and the distinct smell of burned paper lingering in the air. Excuse me, what exactly happened here? She asks a nearby customer with genuine concern. The manager caught a professional scammer completely red-handed, the businessman explains excitedly, clearly enjoying his role as narrator. Burned his obviously fake check right in front of everyone. The whole thing's going viral across social media platforms. The woman's eyes widen dramatically as she spots David sitting calmly in the chair, completely surrounded by security personnel and an increasingly hostile crowd. She immediately reaches for her expensive phone. Wellington notices her filming and addresses her directly with theatrical flair. Ma'am, you're witnessing genuine justice in action today. This individual brazenly attempted to defraud our respected institution with an obviously counterfeit financial instrument. $2.3 million, the Chanel customer adds helpfully, her voice dripping with indignation. Can you possibly imagine such nerve? The absolute audacity of these people. A group of college students enters, immediately drawn to the commotion and the smell of burned paper. They start filming with multiple devices, uploading content to TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram simultaneously. David checks his watch again with deliberate precision. 2:58 p.m. His facial expression shifts almost imperceptibly, like someone making a critical decision that will change everything. The livestream comments become increasingly hostile and racially charged. Lock his criminal ass up. Typical scammer behavior. Should have called the cops immediately. At least the fake check got torched. Justice served live on television. This is what we need more of. Wellington basks completely in the viral attention, his voice growing progressively louder and more theatrical with each passing moment. This is exactly what happens when hardworking, honest Americans finally stand up decisively to fraud and criminal behavior. We don't negotiate with criminals. We don't enable their destructive behavior. We destroy their tools and expose their elaborate lies for everyone to witness. The crowd murmurs strong approval, creating an echo chamber of validation. Multiple phones continue recording from various angles, capturing David's remarkable composure against the dramatic backdrop of burned paper fragments and mounting public accusations. Megan notices something increasingly odd. David's clothes might appear casual at first glance, but his shoes are clearly expensive, Italian leather. His watch, too, appears to be genuine Swiss craftsmanship, and the confident way he carries himself doesn't match Wellington's criminal narrative at all. Marcus, she whispers urgently, tugging at his sleeve. Something doesn't seem right about this entire situation. Megan, not now. Wellington waves her off dismissively, too intoxicated by his moment of viral fame and public adoration to listen to rational concerns. David's phone buzzes one final time with obvious urgency. He looks carefully at the screen, then at Wellington's smug face, then down at the scattered ashes of what was once his check. For the first time since entering the bank, David Williams allows himself to smile genuinely. 2:59 p.m. "Mr. Wellington," David says clearly, his voice cutting effortlessly through the noise of the excited crowd. "I believe it's time we had a proper, professional conversation." Wellington laughs dismissively, spreading his arms wide to address his captivated audience. "Oh, now he wants to negotiate? Sorry, friend, but talking time ended permanently when you attempted to pass that obviously counterfeit check in my establishment." David reaches slowly and deliberately into his jacket pocket. Both security guards tense immediately, hands moving instinctively toward their protective equipment. "Move very carefully now," the first guard warns seriously. David's smile widens slightly with genuine amusement. The expensive first-class boarding pass is visible for just a moment before his hand moves past it purposefully to retrieve something else entirely. Exactly 1 minute until his emergency board meeting begins. 1 minute until Marcus Wellington's comfortable world changes forever. 3 p.m. The world shifts. David Williams pulls out a simple white business card and places it gently on the marble counter, directly beside the scattered ashes of his burned check. The card lands with barely a whisper, but the impact will be seismic. The security guard leans forward to read it. His face goes completely white within seconds. David Williams, Chairman and CEO, Williams Capital Group. The livestream woman zooms in frantically with her phone camera, her hands visibly shaking with excitement. Comments explode across the screen as thousands of viewers simultaneously read the card. "Wait, what? Is this actually real? CEO plot twist incoming. This can't be happening." Wellington laughs dismissively, still desperately performing for his audience despite growing unease. "Oh, please. Anyone can print fake business cards at Kinko's for $5. What's next in your bag of tricks? A fake passport? Counterfeit driver's license to match your stolen credit cards?" David reaches into his jacket pocket again, this time producing a sleek, expensive tablet. With practiced ease and obvious familiarity, he opens the First National Bank mobile application and navigates confidently to a section most customers never see or even know exists, the board member portal. His fingers move across the touchscreen with the practiced confidence of someone who uses this system daily. The login page appears in crisp corporate blue. Corporate board access. Authorized personnel only. Restricted access. David enters his credentials without hesitation, muscle memory guiding his movements. The screen refreshes smoothly, revealing his detailed profile in crisp, undeniable corporate formatting. David Williams, principal shareholder, 73% ownership stake, Williams Capital Group Holdings. Position, chairman of the board of directors, board member since January 2018. Next scheduled meeting, Tuesday, 3 p.m., emergency session, customer service review, security clearance, level 10 full executive access. The security guard's radio slips from his suddenly nerveless hand, clattering loudly against the marble floor directly next to the burned check fragments. The sound echoes through the now silent lobby like a gunshot. Megan Hayes gasps audibly, her perfectly manicured hand flying to cover her mouth in shock. "Oh my God, Marcus, do you see what that says? Do you understand what this means? That's obviously sophisticated fake software." Wellington interrupts desperately, but his voice has lost all its confident edge and theatrical flair. Sweat beads are forming on his forehead despite the bank's air conditioning. Anyone with basic computer skills can create fake screens on a tablet. This is just another elaborate layer of his sophisticated con game. David turns the tablet screen toward the growing crowd with deliberate slowness, ensuring everyone can see clearly. The live stream camera captures every pixel in crystal clear high definition. The woman filming provides breathless real-time commentary. "Guys, this screen says he owns 73% of the entire bank. Is this actually real? Someone please tell me this is really happening." The viewer count explodes exponentially past 2,000 as the video gets shared frantically across multiple social media platforms simultaneously. Comments stream like digital wildfire, moving too fast for human comprehension. "Holy, he actually owns the bank. Manager is so completely fired. This is the best plot twist in internet history. Wellington is absolutely dead. Someone screen record this now. A well-dressed woman near the investment desk pulls out her phone and starts a second live stream to her own followers. A college student begins uploading clips to TikTok with captions like, "Bank owner gets disrespected" and "Plot twist of the century." David's voice cuts through the mounting chaos with supernatural calm and authority. "Mr. Wellington, would you like to know exactly what that check you burned so dramatically for your audience actually contained?" Wellington's face begins showing the first visible cracks of genuine uncertainty, but his ego and public humiliation force him to double down desperately. "I don't care what elaborate lies you've printed on fake documents or programmed into stolen tablets. That check was obviously counterfeit, and I destroyed it properly to protect my honest customers from. It was my quarterly dividend payment," David states with matter-of-fact precision, "from this bank. To me, as the majority shareholder and owner." The silence that follows is absolutely deafening. Even the air conditioning seems to pause. David swipes expertly to another screen on his tablet, revealing detailed financial records with official bank letterhead and security watermarks. Williams Capital Group quarterly dividend, Q4 2025, $2,347,000. Authorized by Board Resolution 847B. Approved by Corporate Treasury. Issued Tuesday, October 17th. He looks down thoughtfully at the burned fragments scattered across the expensive marble floor, then back at Wellington with an expression of almost scholarly curiosity. "You just burned $2,347,000 of my personal money, Mr. Wellington, on camera, in front of multiple witnesses, with thousands watching online." Wellington's face has progressed rapidly from confused to pale to an alarming shade of green. The Italian leather wallet containing David's identification and credit cards suddenly feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds in his jacket pocket. His mouth opens and closes repeatedly without producing sound. That can't possibly be," Wellington finally stammers, his theatrical confidence evaporating like smoke in the wind. David opens yet another application on his tablet with practiced familiarity, the bank's internal personnel directory. He navigates through the system with the obvious ease of someone who's used these tools countless times before, someone with unlimited access. "Marcus Wellington," David reads aloud from the detailed employee screen. "Branch manager, downtown Chicago location. Employee ID, 4,847. Annual salary, $127,000. Hired, the 15th of March, 2019. Performance rating, satisfactory. Direct supervisor, Regional Manager Jessica Chen. Emergency contact, Linda Wellington. Spouse." He looks up from the tablet, directly into Wellington's increasingly panicked eyes. "You've been working for me for exactly 6 years and 7 months, Marcus." The elderly Chanel customer, who had been so vocally supportive and encouraging just minutes before, begins backing away slowly toward the exit. The businessman who enthusiastically suggested Wellington run for mayor stares in growing horror, his face reflecting the dawning realization of what he's witnessed. The 3 teenagers who had been filming excitedly now stand frozen, their phones still recording, but their expressions shifted from entertainment to shock. One whispers to her friend, "Did we just watch someone burn their boss's money?" The livestream audience has exploded past 3,500 viewers, with the number climbing every second. The comments section has become completely unreadable due to the speed of responses. Fire emojis, shocked face emojis, and endless variations of "oh my god" and "this is insane" fill the screen continuously. Megan Hayes finds her voice first, speaking in a rush. "Mr. Williams, I am so incredibly, deeply sorry about this entire situation. We had absolutely no idea who you were, and this should never have happened." "Of course you didn't know," David responds with gentle understanding. "How could you possibly know? I dress casually when I visit branches. I don't announce my position or wave my credentials around. I come in like any other customer because I genuinely believe every single customer deserves respect, regardless of their appearance, clothing, or account balance." He stands slowly, tablet still in hand, and surveys the crowd of customers who had been so eager to watch his public humiliation just minutes before. Many are now studying their shoes intently or suddenly finding their phones extremely interesting. "But here's what troubles me most deeply," David continues, his voice remaining unnaturally calm despite the enormous magnitude of what just happened. This incident wasn't really about a check amount, or banking procedures, or security protocols. This was fundamentally about assumptions, about immediate judgment, about who you thought deserved basic human respect, and who didn't. Wellington seems to physically shrink before everyone's eyes, his expensive suit suddenly looking several sizes too large for his diminishing frame. "Sir, if I had known who you were," Wellington begins desperately. "That's exactly the problem," David interrupts quietly but firmly. "If you had known who I was, what about who I am, as a human being? What about treating every customer with dignity, regardless of who they might be or what they might own?" The burned check ashes seemed to mock Wellington from the marble floor. A $2.3 million mistake that will haunt him forever. David checks his expensive watch one final time. 2 p.m. "I'm now 2 minutes late for my emergency board meeting, which was originally called specifically to discuss customer service standards at this branch location." He looks directly at Wellington with an expression that manages to be simultaneously disappointed and decisively final. "I wonder what we'll be discussing now." 3 p.m. The reckoning begins. David Williams opens a new application on his tablet with the deliberate precision of someone accessing tools he knows intimately. The corporate financial dashboard loads instantly, displaying real-time data that makes Wellington's remaining color drain completely from his face like water from a broken dam. "Let me share some concrete numbers with you, Marcus," David says, his voice maintaining that unsettling calm that somehow makes his words more terrifying than shouting. First National Bank generated exactly $847 million in total revenue last year. My investment group, Williams Capital, contributed $623 million of that through our majority stake and associated business relationships. The livestream audience, now approaching 4,000 viewers and climbing steadily, watches in stunned silence as David swipes methodically through detailed financial reports with corporate logos and official watermarks. Comments flood the screen faster than moderators can process. He's got the actual numbers. This is better than any movie I've ever seen. Wellington is getting absolutely destroyed with data, CEO using spreadsheets as weapons. Megan Hayes stands completely frozen behind the customer service counter, realizing she's witnessing corporate history unfold in real time before her eyes. The burned check fragments scattered at her feet represent more than just destroyed paper. They're physical evidence of a catastrophic mistake that will reshape everything about how this bank operates. This specific downtown branch, David continues calmly, consulting his tablet with the ease of someone who reviews these numbers regularly, processes approximately $45 million in monthly transactions. That's $540 million annually flowing through this location. Your personal annual salary, Marcus, comes to exactly $127,000, money that ultimately derives from the profits generated by my substantial investment in this institution. Wellington's mouth works soundlessly, opening and closing like a fish desperately gasping for air. The Italian leather wallet in his jacket pocket, David's wallet, that he stole in front of witnesses, feels heavier and more incriminating with each passing second. David swipes expertly to another screen, revealing the comprehensive corporate governance documents with official legal letterhead. I want everyone in this room, and watching online, to understand the precise legal framework we are operating under here. Section 4.2 of our employee handbook explicitly states that discrimination by bank personnel violates both federal law and corporate policy. He reads directly from the tablet in a clear, authoritative voice. Any employee found guilty of discriminatory behavior toward customers based on race, gender, appearance, or perceived economic status faces immediate disciplinary action up to and including termination, with cause and forfeiture of benefits. The elderly Chanel customer, who had enthusiastically applauded Wellington's discriminatory actions just minutes earlier, begins edging nervously toward the main exit. Other customers follow her lead like a retreating army, suddenly remembering urgent appointments elsewhere or pressing business that requires their immediate attention. Clause 7.8 amperes grants board members, specifically me, as chairman, the unilateral authority to suspend personnel immediately, pending full investigation and disciplinary proceedings. David's finger traces the specific text on his screen. Article 12 requires that all recorded incidents of discrimination become permanent, irrevocable parts of employee records, reportable to state and federal banking authorities and discoverable in background checks. Wellington finally finds his voice, though it emerges as a pathetic croak. "Mr. Williams, please. I had no idea who you were. I never meant." "But here's the most legally significant part, Marcus." David interrupts with gentle but devastating precision. "The willful destruction of financial instruments, specifically burning a legitimate bank check in front of witnesses, constitutes a federal crime under Section 1341 of the U.S. Criminal Code, mail fraud and destruction of financial documents. The penalties include fines up to $1 million and imprisonment up to 20 years. The live stream viewer count explodes past 5,000 as people share the video frantically across every available social platform. Number Bankburn's check is trending nationwide, alongside number Carmacerial, number Justice Deserved, and number Williams vs. Wellington. News outlets are beginning to pick up the story in real time. David stands slowly from his chair, tablet firmly in hand, and walks deliberately toward Wellington with measured steps. Each footfall echoes against the marble lobby like a countdown to final judgment. The distance between them closes with inexorable certainty. "So, let me present your available options with complete clarity, Mr. Wellington." David's voice carries the unmistakable weight of absolute corporate authority. Option 1. You immediately issue a comprehensive public apology to every person in this room and to the thousands watching online via live stream. You publicly acknowledge your discriminatory behavior, submit willingly to mandatory sensitivity training, accept a formal written reprimand in your permanent file, and continue your employment under strict probationary status. Wellington nods frantically, visible relief flooding his pale features like sunrise after a nightmare. However, David continues with devastating calm, and Wellington's face immediately falls again. "Given the severity of your actions and the serious federal implications, Option 1 also requires you to accept immediate demotion from branch manager to assistant manager, with a corresponding 40% salary reduction. You will personally reimburse the bank $50,000 for the cost of replacing the destroyed check and processing this incident. And you will perform 200 hours of unpaid community service at financial literacy centers in underserved communities." The crowd murmurs among themselves as they process the harsh but fair terms. Megan Hayes discreetly pulls out her phone, apparently taking detailed notes or recording everything for official documentation purposes. Option 2, David's voice hardens almost imperceptibly, like steel wrapped in silk, is immediate termination for cause, complete forfeiture of all pension benefits under the discrimination and property destruction clauses, and formal referral to federal authorities for criminal prosecution. Given that your discriminatory actions were recorded by multiple witnesses and broadcast live to thousands of viewers, the evidence against you is overwhelming and irrefutable. Wellington's knees visibly shake beneath his expensive trousers. The stolen wallet in his pocket seems to burn against his chest like a brand. Furthermore, David continues relentlessly, consulting another screen on his tablet. Termination for cause would include immediate notification to the National Banking Association's disciplinary board, effectively ending your career in financial services permanently. The viral nature of this incident ensures that your name will be associated with this discriminatory behavior indefinitely, following you to any future employer. David opens another application on his tablet, the bank's internal human resources communication system. "I can send termination papers to HR right now, Marcus. Your access to all computer systems would be revoked within 5 minutes. Security would escort you from the building immediately, and your personal items would be boxed and mailed to your home address within 48 hours. The live stream audience watches in absolute fascination as David demonstrates the swift, decisive power of actual corporate consequences. Comments stream continuously. This is what real accountability looks like. Give him option 2. Make him pay for what he did. Justice in real time. But there's a third consideration that weighs heavily on my mind," David adds thoughtfully, looking down at the scattered ashes of his destroyed check. "The $2.347 million you burned represents not just my personal money, but funds that could have funded financial literacy programs, small business loans for minority entrepreneurs, educational scholarships for disadvantaged students, and community development projects. Your prejudice didn't just hurt me personally. It damaged the entire community this bank exists to serve." Wellington's face crumples visibly, the full weight of his actions finally penetrating his consciousness. "Sir, please. I have a family to support, a mortgage payment, children in college. I can't lose everything over one terrible mistake." "One mistake?" David's voice sharpens noticeably for the first time. cutting through the air like a blade. "Marcus, you didn't accidentally burn my check. You didn't mistakenly treat me with disrespect. You made deliberate, calculated choices based on the color of my skin and your prejudiced assumptions about my worth as a human being." He gestures directly toward the live stream camera, where thousands continue watching this unprecedented confrontation. "And you performed your discrimination proudly, theatrically, for a live audience. You wanted witnesses to your bigotry. You actively sought validation for your prejudice. Well, congratulations. You got exactly what you wanted." The security guards stand motionless and confused, uncertain whether they should still be treating David as a suspect or Wellington as the primary problem. The burned check fragments scattered between them tell the complete story of this power reversal. "I need your final decision right now, Marcus," David states with firm finality. "Public apology, community service, demotion, financial reimbursement, and probation. Or immediate termination, criminal referral, and complete career destruction. You have exactly 60 seconds to choose your future." David raises his tablet meaningfully, his finger hovering directly over what appears to be official termination paperwork. The wall clock reads 3:07 p.m. with mechanical precision. "Choose very wisely," David advises quietly, his voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty, "because unlike the careless assumptions you made about me, this decision will define exactly who you actually are as a person." Wellington stares down at the ashes of the check he burned so proudly, finally understanding that his moment of prejudiced pride and public performance has cost him everything, unless he swallows that pride completely and begs for mercy. The 60-second countdown begins with devastating precision. 3:08 p.m. The choice and its consequences. Wellington's legs buckle slightly as the 60-second countdown reaches 30. The weight of thousands watching online, the burned check ashes at his feet, and David's unwavering stare combined into a crushing realization of his complete vulnerability. "I choose option 1, Wellington whispers hoarsely, his voice barely audible above the hum of air conditioning. "I apologize. Completely. To everyone." David lowers his tablet but doesn't put it away. "Louder, Marcus. The people filming need to hear you clearly, and face the cameras, not me." Wellington turns toward the live stream, his face pale and drawn. The woman filming adjusts her angle to capture his humiliation in high definition. Over 6,000 people now watch in real time. "I, Marcus Wellington, sincerely apologize to Mr. David Williams for my discriminatory behavior," he begins, his voice cracking with emotion. "I made racist assumptions based on his appearance. I destroyed his personal property. I treated him with disrespect and prejudice that has no place in banking or society." The live stream comments explode. "Too little, too late. At least he's admitting it. This is painful to watch. Good. Make him suffer. Continue," David instructs quietly. Wellington's hands shake visibly. "I apologize to every customer who witnessed my behavior and to everyone watching online. My actions were wrong, illegal, and inexcusable. I accept full responsibility and will work to become a better person." Megan Hayes begins typing rapidly on her computer, documenting everything for corporate records. The remaining customers watch in fascination as a man's career transforms before their eyes. David opens his tablet again, navigating to what appears to be an employee disciplinary form. "Megan, please prepare Marcus's new employment contract, reflecting his demotion to assistant manager and salary reduction. HR will need documentation within the hour." "Yes, Mr. Williams." Megan responds immediately, her professional demeanor now fully aligned with David's authority. David swipes to another screen showing the bank's policy manual. Effective immediately, this branch will implement new customer service protocols. "Megan, I want you to take detailed notes for corporate distribution." The live stream audience watches as David begins reshaping the bank's operations in real time. Comments shift from mockery to genuine interest. He's actually making changes. "This is how you fix systemic problems. Smart CEO moves. First, the Dignity First protocol," David announces, consulting his tablet. "Every customer receives identical service regardless of appearance, clothing, or perceived economic status. Staff members must greet customers within 30 seconds and maintain professional courtesy throughout all interactions." Wellington stands motionless, still processing his dramatic fall from manager to assistant manager. The wallet in his pocket, David's wallet, remains a burning reminder of his compounding mistakes. "Second, we're implementing the Respect Monitor system," David continues. All customer interactions will be recorded and analyzed monthly by an independent third-party civil rights organization. Any patterns of bias or discrimination will trigger immediate investigation and corrective action. Megan types furiously, capturing every detail. Should I schedule the technology installation, Mr. Williams? Yes, and make it priority 1. I want cameras operational within 48 hours. David swipes to another screen. Third, mandatory quarterly training for all staff. Unconscious bias recognition, cultural sensitivity, and professional customer service standards. The elderly Chanel customer who had started to leave pauses near the door to listen. Her earlier enthusiasm for Wellington's discrimination has transformed into uncomfortable silence. These workshops will include guest speakers from affected communities, David continues. Staff performance reviews will now include specific metrics for equitable customer treatment. Raises and promotions will depend partially on these scores. David walks slowly toward the scattered ashes of his burned check, his expensive shoes crunching slightly on the fragments. Fourth, we're establishing anonymous customer feedback systems. Physical kiosks in every branch, plus a dedicated hotline with direct access to my office. Wellington watches helplessly as his former authority crumbles into systematic accountability. The live stream viewer count approaches 7,000 as news outlets begin picking up the story. Fifth, David's voice carries increasing conviction. Monthly community advisory meetings. Representatives from local organizations will meet with branch management to discuss service quality and address concerns before they escalate. He kneels down and carefully gathers some of the burned check fragments into his hand. Megan, I want these ashes preserved as evidence for the incident report. Also, we'll be creating a memorial display in the lobby. A memorial, sir? Megan asks, confused. David stands, ashes in his palm like dark snow. A framed reminder titled, The Cost of Assumptions. These ashes will serve as a permanent reminder that prejudice destroys more than just paper. It destroys trust, community, and human dignity. The live stream comments become increasingly supportive. Turn trash into treasure, teaching moment for everyone. This guy is brilliant, real leadership. Wellington finally finds the courage to speak. Mr. Williams, I still have your wallet. I'm sorry I took it. David extends his free hand. Thank you for returning it, Marcus. Wellington retrieves the leather wallet from his jacket and places it carefully in David's hand. The symbolic transfer of power completes his transformation from aggressor to subordinate. Now, about your community service, David continues, consulting his tablet again. You'll be working at the Southside Financial Literacy Center every Saturday for the next 2 years. You'll help families understand banking, credit, and financial planning. Yes, sir, Wellington responds meekly. Specifically, you'll be working with families who look exactly like me, David adds with quiet emphasis. Families who have experienced discrimination in financial services. You'll learn their stories, understand their struggles, and hopefully develop the empathy you clearly lack. The weight of this assignment settles over Wellington like a heavy blanket. 2 years of facing the people he's prejudiced against, learning their humanity, confronting his biases weekly. Your first training session is this Saturday at 9 a.m., David states firmly. Mrs. Johnson, the center director, is expecting you. She's a 6-7-year-old African-American grandmother who's been fighting financial discrimination for 40 years. I suggest you listen carefully to everything she teaches you. Megan finishes typing and looks up. Mr. Williams, should I notify corporate headquarters about these policy changes? Already done, David replies, showing his tablet screen. I sent the implementation order 20 minutes ago. Every First National branch will adopt these standards within 90 days. The live stream audience realizes they've witnessed more than just individual justice. They've seen systemic change born from one man's prejudice and another man's response. Comments reflect this understanding. This is how you fix racism. From burned check to burned bias. Policy change in real time. David looks around the lobby, taking in the faces of customers, staff, and security who have witnessed this transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened here today wasn't just about me or Marcus. It was about the assumptions we make, the respect we deny, and the changes we can create when we choose justice over revenge. He holds up the ashes of his burned check. These ashes represent $2.3 million, but more importantly, they represent the cost of prejudice. Tomorrow, they'll represent the foundation of something better. The clock on the wall reads 3:15 p.m. In 28 minutes, David has transformed humiliation into education, discrimination into policy reform, and personal pain into systemic healing. Wellington stands quietly, processing the magnitude of his fall and the unexpected mercy of his punishment. His career lies in ashes, like the check he burned. But unlike the check, his career might still be salvageable through genuine change. "Any questions about your new responsibilities, Marcus?" David asks. Wellington shakes his head slowly. "No, sir. Thank you for giving me a second chance." David nods once, then turns toward the exit. "Don't thank me yet. Thank me in 2 years, when you've learned to see people as human beings instead of assumptions." 6 months later, the transformation. The memorial display sits prominently in the First National lobby, drawing visitors from across the country. Behind protective glass, the preserved ashes of David Williams's burned check rest on velvet, accompanied by a brass plaque reading, "The Cost of Assumptions." In memory of prejudice destroyed by dignity, Marcus Wellington arrives early for his Saturday morning shift at the Southside Financial Literacy Center, as he has every week for 26 consecutive weeks. The man who once burned a check in arrogant discrimination now carries educational materials for families he previously viewed with suspicion. "Morning, Mrs. Johnson." Wellington greets the center director warmly, his voice carrying none of its former condescension. "Good morning, Marcus." The 6-7-year-old grandmother responds with a knowing smile. "The Rodriguez family is waiting for you in room 3. Their small business loan was denied yesterday. They need help understanding why." Wellington nods and walks toward the conference room, passing walls covered with thank you letters from families he's helped navigate the banking system. His transformation didn't happen overnight. It required confronting his biases, one conversation at a time. The ripple effect spreads. The viral video of David Williams's response to discrimination has reached 15 million views across all platforms. Bankburn's check became more than a hashtag. It became a movement examining assumptions and privilege in everyday interactions. Dr. Emily Vance, a sociology professor at Northwestern University, incorporated the incident into her curriculum on systemic racism. This case study demonstrates how individual prejudice becomes institutional discrimination, and how leadership can create immediate systemic change, she explains to her graduate students. The footage has been translated into 12 languages and used in corporate training programs worldwide. Companies across industries adopted variations of David's Dignity First protocol, recognizing that respect isn't optional, it's essential for business success. Corporate revolution. Williams Capital Group's approach to discrimination has become the gold standard for financial institutions. The independent monitoring system identified and addressed 47 incidents of bias across their network in the first quarter alone, preventing escalation through early intervention. "We've seen a 34% increase in minority customer satisfaction," reports Jessica Chen, the regional manager who now oversees sensitivity training implementation. "More importantly, we've seen a cultural shift. Employees actively watch for bias and correct it immediately." The quarterly training programs evolved beyond mere compliance into genuine education. Guest speakers share personal stories of discrimination, creating emotional connections that policy manuals never achieve. Performance reviews now include customer feedback scores specifically related to respectful treatment. First National Bank's stock price increased 12% in 6 months, driven partially by positive publicity, but primarily by an expanded customer base and improved community relationships. Other banks began adopting similar policies, creating industry-wide transformation. Wellington's journey. The man who once stood triumphantly over burning ashes now sits humbly across from Maria Rodriguez, explaining loan requirements with patience and empathy. "The bank denied your application because of the debt-to-income ratio," Wellington explains gently, "but there are steps we can take to improve your position. Let's create a plan." Maria's eyes fill with gratitude. "You're the first bank person who actually listened to our situation instead of just saying no." Wellington feels the familiar weight of his past behavior. Every grateful family reminds him of the people he dismissed, the dreams he crushed through assumptions. His 200 hours of community service became 400, then 600. The requirement ended, but the learning continues. "I was wrong about many things," Wellington admits during his monthly check-in with David Williams. "I thought success meant excluding people. I learned it means including them." David nods thoughtfully. "That's wisdom that can't be taught in training manuals. It has to be earned through genuine relationships. The memorial's message. Visitors to the First National Lobby often pause at the memorial display, reading the accompanying explanation of events. Children ask parents about the ashes behind glass. Adults share stories of their own experiences with discrimination. The display includes a QR code linking to the full video and a comprehensive resource page about unconscious bias. Educational materials explain how assumptions become actions, and actions become systems of exclusion. Those ashes represent more than money, David reflects during a recorded interview that accompanies the display. They represent every time someone's worth was judged by their appearance, every time potential was dismissed by prejudice, every opportunity destroyed by assumptions. The memorial has inspired similar displays in corporations, universities, and community centers nationwide. The phrase "the cost of assumptions" appears on everything from coffee mugs to conference room posters, serving as daily reminders to examine our biases. Systemic change across industries. The Williams Standards, as they became known, spread far beyond banking. Retail stores, healthcare facilities, government offices, and educational institutions adopted similar protocols. The combination of real-time monitoring, regular training, and community accountability created measurable improvements in customer service across demographics. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that businesses implementing Williams-style protocols experienced average increases of 23% in minority customer satisfaction and 18% in overall customer retention. The business case for dignity became undeniable. Technology companies developed sophisticated bias detection software based on David's monitoring systems. Artificial intelligence now helps identify patterns of discriminatory behavior that human oversight might miss. The personal legacy. David Williams doesn't consider himself the hero of the story. "I simply refuse to let prejudice stand unchallenged," he explains during university speaking engagements. The real heroes are people like Marcus, who chose to grow instead of retreat. His quarterly dividend checks still arrive at the same downtown branch, but now they're processed with the respect every customer deserves. David often visits unannounced, observing interactions and ensuring standards remain high. The first-class boarding pass to Tokyo that Wellington never noticed led to a business expansion that created 200 jobs in underserved communities. David's calm response to discrimination created opportunities that his anger never could have achieved. The call to action. The lesson of the burned check extends beyond corporate policies and training programs. It challenges every individual to examine their assumptions, question their biases, and choose dignity over discrimination. The valuable lesson here is that our assumptions, driven by prejudice, can have devastating and public consequences. But true leadership and strength aren't about revenge. They're about using a moment of humiliation to build a better, more equitable system for everyone. Your voice matters. Your story counts. Every time you witness unfairness and choose to speak up, you create change. Every time you treat someone with dignity when others show disrespect, you build bridges. The movement continues through individual actions. Social media fills with stories of people choosing inclusion over exclusion, understanding over assumption, growth over grudges. Fireproof Worth becomes a rallying cry for protecting human dignity. Your role in this story. The burned check incident proves that change doesn't require violence, wealth, or political power. It requires the courage to stand for principles, the wisdom to choose education over retaliation, and the commitment to creating systems that protect everyone's dignity. Have you witnessed discrimination that seemed small but felt enormous? Share your experience in the comments below. Every story shared helps others recognize these moments and respond with David's combination of strength and grace. Subscribe to our channel for more real-world examples of quiet strength overcoming loud prejudice. Hit the notification bell because transformation happens when we pay attention to each other's humanity. Share this video if you believe in the power of dignity over destruction, education over retaliation, and building systems that protect rather than destroy. Use Fireproof Worth to share your own stories of overcoming discrimination through intelligence, persistence, and unwavering dignity. Remember, they can burn your check, but they cannot burn your worth. And when you own the power to create change, you get to decide how justice looks. The ashes in that memorial display aren't just remnants of prejudice. They're fertilizer for growth. From destruction comes creation. From humiliation comes education. From individual pain comes systemic healing. That's how you turn a burned check into a burned bridge to discrimination.